Hi, guys. We are live again one more time on this thing called the World Wide Web Internet thingy. Glad to have y'all with us. And Lewis popped in just as the intro was playing. So glad you're here.
Thank
Of
you.
course, we've got Dagny back. She hadn't been here in a
Hey
while.
guys.
Lewis, I think the last time you saw him was on Night Treks, where he told the story of old Jake. Wasn't that an awesome
Yes.
show? And so today we might have Andrea popping in and Tim. Tim got offered an exciting opportunity just yesterday where he had to be out today. So once he gets all the details for that, we'll be sharing it soon, hopefully. But he said if I can get where I can get good Wi-Fi or whatever, I'll hop in. So hopefully he'll show up today. So thank y'all for being a watcher today. Just remember that we provide these shows first and foremost for you, the watchers, for your entertainment. And we are not by any means and do not claim to be scholars or experts in any of the topics we cover. We're simply enthusiasts and storytellers who have fun with these topics while doing our best to respect individual beliefs. Please remember that this show is, for the first time in a while, live. and keeping our fingers crossed that my internet don't go screwy. But nothing is rehearsed or edited out later. Uh, what you see is what you get. And the only exception to that is, of course, our revisited shows. Um, where we go back and re-stream some of our first season shows and also our Night Treks shows. And well, before we get into all of that and talking about some of the latest shows, um, I figured it had been a while since we'd done any ET updates. So, Lewis, I want you to be thinking about, tell us some about the latest adventures you've had. I know I've seen you posting a lot of stuff on Facebook, but Dagny has actually supplied me with pictures of her latest project. She's Tell us about what you're working on.
Well, a friend of mine is making a new business. It's called Sweet Love Ice Cream. It's going to be an ice cream truck. And they asked me if I would design and paint it for them.
Wow. Awesome. So this was the design you came up with, right?
Yep, that's what we're doing right there.
All right. And this is what you got.
That's how it began.
Wow.
And so you got to turn that into this.
Yeah.
All right.
First step
And
is getting rid of all the pink and then putting
yeah.
pink back on.
Right. And so this is what y'all have gotten done so far.
Yep. And today it's 90 degrees. That's the owner right there is helping me out.
Awesome. Awesome.
Wow.
That is so cool. And I know I'm gonna catch you off guard with this one, but you mentioned before we went on the air that you're considering another art party for next year.
I
See,
am.
I'm putting you on the spot here. Now
You
you're gonna
are.
have to
No
you're
one
gonna
in the
have to do it now.
There's only one other person in the world that has heard me talk about this. March 25th of next year, we're gonna do it again.
Okay,
Finally.
we'll see. I put you on the spot now. You've announced it publicly,
Now
so
I got to do it.
now you
Now
got
I
to
can't
do
back
it.
out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Uh,
COVID got in our way for a long time, and we weren't sure with it kind of peaking and coming back down. And
mhm.
finally, we said that's it. March 25th next year, we're doing it.
There you go. Just do it.
Thanks, Tom.
Now you're
I'm gonna get a
obligated.
Nike tattoo so that
There
I
you go.
remember. Just do
Exactly.
it.
Just do it. All right, Lewis. Update us on Strange Lagrange, your work with Troup County Historical uh,
Society.
Society. My
And
mind just went blank.
yes. Um well, I've just been kind of slammed the past few months. Done some presentations, getting ready to do another one next week.
Yeah.
Um just very busy. The tour is going very well. I have I've actually kind of redone the tour for this year. we kind of had to lock part of it off because it was just getting too far to walk.
Right.
And but I'm making up for that with some additional stories, and
There you go.
we've had a very good turnout so far.
Excellent. Excellent. I know that when with our tours we were doing in Mobile, that when the national company pulled out and I took it over myself, I actually cut the tour in half.
Yeah.
And because I mean, I had so many stories that I made 2 tours out of it.
Oh yeah.
And then was adding a third when we decided to go in a different direction. But
Mhm.
that's awesome. So guys, check it out. In tickets on Eventbrite.
Yes.
Go to
Strange
Eventbrite.
LaGrange
Yes,
here in LaGrange, Georgia.
that's right. Just type in Strange LaGrange in the search bar at Eventbrite, and you will find the tickets. I think that's awesome. All right.
I used to work in LaGrange, Illinois. So every time you say it, it's like,
Cool. All right. Our last revisited show. How many people caught that? It was the second half of our abduction show, where we talked primarily about the Travis Walton abduction in 1975. I'm trying to remember because I know the Pascagoula abduction that we talked about before that was in 1973. They were in that era. Just a unique
my favorite
stories there.
My favorite story. Travis Walton's story is great.
Oh yeah, and we go into a lot of the aftermath, and the reason we highlighted those 2 stories in that one show is because most abduction cases that you hear of or learn about, it's just that person, and that's all you know. You just got that person's story. Well, in both instances, with the 1973 Pascagoula abduction of Charlie Hickson and Calvin Parker, at first all you heard about was their experience, but then other stories began to surface of people who saw things the same night at the same time going on. They didn't. One person actually saw the same beings. That's trippy. And with Travis Walton, he had 5 friends with him and
That is
saw him
crazy that
abducted.
they had all these witnesses. Yeah.
Yeah, both stories had witnesses corroborating the story. So go back and watch that. It's on our revisited site, and I'm rearranging YouTube a little bit. And we'll talk about that in just a second. On our last main show was the strange state of Kansas. Tim filled us in on a bunch of stuff. I mean, y'all know if you've been watching the show for any length of time, Tim has talked about Kansas
All the time.
all the time, especially in our strange author story where we highlighted his 2 books, and because it's all about Kansas and the paranormal and ghost sightings. But this time he went just into more stuff. So go back and watch that one. It's in 2 parts because we were pre-recording those shows. So check that out. And then last night for Night Treks, Tim took us back to Kansas for the story of the hangman. Oh, you talk about a spooky, creepy ghost story. That was awesome.
I went and clicked on it and then realized I had to do something else, forgot, and now I'm dying to get back to it.
Well, what's fun? My favorite line in the whole show is, I thought you said he hung 41 men here, not 82. And he said, oh, the first 41 were when he was alive.
Nice. I can't wait.
Oh God,
Where does it go?
That was awesome. The next Night Treks, next Friday night, I'm working on one. It's something that's already written, but it was written in a different format, so I'm wanting to rework it, a ghost story. That part is true and part's not, so you'll have to decide. So hopefully I can get that finished up before Friday. And our next revisited show next Saturday, we go into our first part of our 3rd ghost hunting show on gadgets. We have Darren Huff and Al Luna, who's been a regular special guest, who's moving to California and splitting his team in two. Now he's going to have PSEI East and PSEI West. But anyway, we talked about the different tools you use in ghost hunting, and they break it down and tell a bunch of good ghost stories while we're at it and using these different tools. So check that out. So if you're watching on YouTube, just remember, and that's Night Treks every Friday night. And there is a specific playlist on YouTube with nothing but Night Treks. So you can click on there and you can watch all of them to this point. Okay. Speaking of YouTube, Dagny, what are we supposed to remember?
To like, subscribe, like and subscribe, like,
Yep.
subscribe.
Click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, my grandson had just gone to get his hair cut, and that's what he asked for. That's all. What do they call it? A faux hawk. But Mom, and we took him, and Mama and Daddy were not real happy with Grandma and Grandpa.
Grandma and Grandpa. Trump mommy and daddy.
Okay, thank you. All right, but before we get into the show, remember, we do need help putting on this show. It takes a little bit of cash and moolah, and we can use all the help we can get.
Click that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
I clicked the wrong one, didn't I? So you got a double whammy on YouTube. So please like and subscribe. Yes, and if you could help us out there, we're almost at the point of this thing paying for itself. And so if you can, if you believe in what we're doing, we got a new Patreon subscriber last month. And we've got several new YouTube subscribers. So all of you guys, the watchers, we appreciate everything. And another way that you can help support us is with our merch site, strangestuff.live, where you can find all things Strange Journeys, little designs for shows that we did.
That's what I need next, the backpack.
The backpack, but I like
That's
the
my
Krampus.
next.
I like the Krampus hat. So the Strange Journeys backpack, and it's in our signature color orange. And it's got the logo on there. So, yeah. You can get an I Believe in Angels classic hoodie. Get you a Watchers tee. Oh, and this is a popular one. Krampus was here hoodie.
I'm just a big fan of hoodies.
Yeah. So that's strangestuff.live. So check us out there. All right, guys. We have gone another step further into the strange states. Are y'all ready for the next one? It almost sounded like we were a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It had that feeling.
Yeah. All right. We return to our live format with a trip to strange Illinois. We've traveled to Ohio, Georgia, Mississippi, and Kansas, and it seems the states get weirder and stranger each time. I don't know what it is, but everybody knew going in Ohio was strange. Okay. It's like, okay, Ohio got this. And we found all kinds of strange stuff. And then we went to Georgia with Lewis's home state and found more offbeat, weird, strange stuff. And we're like, God, this is getting weirder. And then we went to Mississippi and even more strange stuff. You know, the thing about the singing river and the dolphin mermaid, whatever, trying to attract people. I mean, it just got weird. And then we went to Kansas and even weirder. And now Illinois. I'm telling you what, folks, by the time we get to Tennessee and Alabama, who knows? It's just getting weirder and stranger. Now, we know that Illinois is the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan, McDonald's, and Twinkies. But we're going into the stranger side of the state now. So we're going to start, just like we started all the other, with some of the strange laws that are still on the books. And the first 4 or 5 are from Chicago, which we could have spent the whole show on Chicago alone. I'm going to tell you
I
that
was going
right
to
up
say
front.
that. Like, I had to be careful not to just fill
I know it.
Chicago research.
I know. Just about all my research, everything I went into was going to Chicago. Chicago. It's like, okay, we'll do some Chicago, but we want to do some other stuff too.
It's an incredible and very amazing, strange place.
Yes. I haven't been to Chicago, but I've been south of there in most of the state. I've been to Ronnie Reagan's birthplace in Dixon, Illinois. I've been to Metropolis. We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about Metropolis in a minute. And I've been to Champaign and Decatur. But anyway, in Chicago, you cannot give whiskey to a dog.
Can't do it. You can't do it.
Just take all the fun out of the dog's life.
Can I give whiskey to my cat?
Sure.
Well, possibly, you know.
It might calm her zoomies.
Well, true. I've heard of giving Benadryl to dogs. So
I've done it to my Chihuahua.
yeah. Just calm down. Like giving them a Xanax. Just calm down.
Sometimes it's necessary.
But it's also illegal to go fishing in your pajamas. You can't hop out of bed and hop in your boat. At least get dressed. And it's also illegal to take a French poodle to the opera. Now, you know somebody had to have tried that.
I'm sure of it.
But it's my French poodle. He loves the opera.
You can see that one play out so easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And going back to the fishing, you cannot fish while sitting on a giraffe's neck in Chicago. It kind of makes you wonder if someone tried that too.
I want to know how that happened.
Oh God. Now I didn't say if it was a real giraffe or a statue, so
Hmm.
they just made it carte blanche. Any giraffe, you cannot fish while sitting on its neck. Okay. All right. And the last one in Chicago, you are prohibited from eating inside a burning building. I would hope that was common sense.
Can't be that hard to enforce.
Well,
Unless
maybe they had some problems during the Great Fire in 1871.
couldn't get somebody else. But I was thinking
Yeah.
somebody pulled their charcoal grill inside the house to cook in the living room. And so they're sitting there trying to eat their steaks and chicken off the grill while the house is burning down around them. Who knows? All right. In normal. That just doesn't really fit with our show, though, does it? It's illegal to make faces at dogs. So, you pet owners would really have a hard time with that one. And I think this is the entire state. It didn't clarify, but it is illegal to give a pet a cigar.
Any pet.
Yeah, well, it just says any pet. I mean, so the dog is doubly screwed in Chicago because he can't drink whiskey or have a cigar.
Did Al Capone dislike dogs?
Good question. All right, here's one in Champaign. Get ready to cringe.
I already am.
In Champaign, you cannot pee in your neighbor's mouth. So I will refrain from jokes.
Yeah, let's just continue on.
Yeah. All right. In Cicero, it is against the law to hum on public streets on a Sunday. So if you leave church and your favorite song was Bringing in the Sheaves and they ended with that one, you can't walk out humming Bringing in the Sheaves in Cicero. In Eureka, it is illegal for a man with a mustache to kiss a woman.
That's a real strange one.
Some women may agree wholeheartedly with that. I'm reminded of a scene in I think it was Star Trek Generations where Commander Riker grew a beard. He had grown a beard in the series, but in the movie, he and Counselor Troy, who had a past romantic history, start lighting things up again. And he leans over to kiss her, and she pushes him away and goes, "Ooh, I've never kissed you with a beard."
I got to see that moment. I haven't seen that moment.
Yeah. So he was like, "What? It's just a beard." So he shaves it before the movie's over. So
it's worth it for Counselor Troy.
I guess so. Yeah, and Lynn has told me that I cannot shave mine.
Some girls love it and some girls hate it. And the people in between that just don't care.
Yep. In Kenilworth, a rooster must stand back 300 feet from a resident if it wishes to crow. So you gotta put markers out and say, "Rooster, you can't come any closer than this right here."
Do you give a rooster a ticket? What do you do?
All right, roosters. It's like a restraining order. You can't come within 300 feet.
Only if they're going to crow, though.
Well, true. But if they crow within that 300 feet, they get exiled to the hen house, I guess.
They become dinner.
That too. In Decatur, it's against the law to drive without a steering wheel.
Makes sense.
It does make sense, you know. All right, here's one I thought was great. The Joliet Municipal Code actually has an entry with instructions on how to appropriately pronounce Joliet. It is illegal to mispronounce Joliet as Joliet.
I know so many people that say Joliet.
Yeah.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah. Well, it's like Mobile. I mean, in the English language, the word mobile is mobile. But in this city, it's Mobile. And if you're from out of state or out of there and you come in and you say, I'm in Mobile, Alabama, you will get corrected.
I'll correct
Pe-
someone if they add an S to Illinois.
Well, that's true.
Mm.
The S sound.
All right. And the people in Collinsville have actually stepped up to the plate and made a very worthwhile law. It is illegal to wear sagging pants in Collinsville.
Oh, Tom, you know you sag all the time.
Oh, God. That's one thing you don't want. But, I mean, I don't think it should be a law necessarily, but it's not appropriate for
I
these
don't even
guys to
find it
walk
so
around.
inappropriate. I find it just senseless
Yeah.
that you have to waste a whole hand to hold your pants up.
I was stopped at a store getting gas and I saw this guy walking in, and there was a curb like 6 inches or so that you had to step up into to get to the store. And he actually had to reach down between his legs and grab the crotch of his pants, pull it up, and then lean over and stick his leg up on the curb
It's
to be
extra
able
work.
to step up onto the curb. And I'm like, what are you doing?
It's
You
extra
know?
work.
Just pull up your britches, boy. Yeah, I see them come in at work all the time, and you're like, oh, God, I don't want to see your underwear. It's not something I go throughout my day saying, oh, I wish I could see somebody's underwear. No, I don't want to see your underwear. All right, we won't even go into the morals. I say moral, the origins of that
The moral.
particular practice. I guess it could be moral into the where it came from. But hey, we have some comments I hadn't noticed. Lynn said it depends on the beard and who is wearing it, and everywhere should have that. Yeah, okay. She said it depends on the beard, so she's talking about the can't kiss a woman with a mustache, and everywhere should have that rule. She's talking about the sagging pants. So anyway, all right, we're going to go to the strange attractions now, and we start one with it's sad, but it's kind of unique and strange. But 5 elephant statues mark the boundaries of Showman's Rest, a plot of 750 grave sites at Woodlawn Cemetery in Forest Park, Illinois. The rumor perpetuated by generations of Illinois school children is that the elephants killed in the train wreck couldn't be moved and they were buried where they fell. The statues actually mark the site of a mass grave of 56 or 61, depending on your source. Hagenbeck Wallace Circus employees who were killed on June 22, 1918. When an empty troop train piloted by a napping engineer plowed into the 4 rear sleeping cars of the circus train near Hammond, Indiana. On the fateful early morning of that day, a 26-car circus train was heading from Illinois into Hammond, and the 400 performers and roustabouts were asleep in the rear cars. The train was halted on the Michigan Central tracks near Ivanhoe due to an overheated axle box. This troop train suddenly appeared on the same track, cruising up from behind at 35 miles an hour and failing to heed track warning signals and flares. Engineer Alonzo Sargent snoozed his way through 3 cars. finally halting on top of the fourth in a deafening grinding of metal and splintering of wood. Most of the 86 perished in the first 35 seconds of the wreck. Then, as is typical of any horrific historical mishap, the whole thing caught on fire. 4 days after the crash, survivors gathered at Woodlawn Cemetery, where the Showman's League of America had selected a burial plot for members. The identity of many of the victims of the wreck was unknown. Some were roustabouts and temporary workers hired just hours or days before. Most of the markers note unidentified male or female. One is marked Smiley, another Baldy, and 4-horse driver. Showman's Rest continues to fill up today with deceased showmen performing at the biggest of big tops. And there's rumors that there are times where you can see the ghost and some of these performers still performing. The ghost of the elephants, the ghost of the performers. And I'm getting some background noise somewhere.
Must be
I
Lewis.
don't know.
I'm blaming you, Lewis.
She's pointing the finger, Lewis.
I'll put myself on mute just in case.
Oh, I think that did it, Lewis. Sorry.
I have a quiet spot for once.
Oh, wow. Yes. All right. Dagny's going to tell us about the puppet bikes in Chicago.
So in Chicago, there's a puppet bike group of people that have they perform this. They have a bike and they perform the puppet show from the back of the bike. It's a common sight on the streets of Andersonville neighborhood and in the downtown loop. Originally, the artist, there was a single artist that did it, and then this group came along to honor him and continue it.
Wow, that is so cool. Dagny and I were talking before we went on. She's thinking about, or she had the creative idea would love to see that in Pensacola.
I would love to do it.
It would have to be in a place where there's a lot of foot traffic, obviously.
There are plenty of places in
Yeah.
Pensacola.
Yeah, Pensacola Beach,
Mm-hmm.
places like that where there is a lot of foot traffic. But that would be so cool. It is strange because that would be an odd sight to see on the street, wouldn't it?
It catches your attention.
Oh, yeah. All right, this next one I want to tell you about is heartwarming. Let's see. Yeah, Lynn asked if elephants have ghosts. I don't know. They just supposedly people have seen them. I don't know.
Cats do.
We've heard a couple on this show. This next one is Boo Castle in Carbondale. It's a privately owned park open to the general public. The park was created to honor the memory of Jeremy Boo Rockman, who was a passenger in a deadly car accident in 1993. As a child, he loved to play with toy action figures. As he grew older, he enjoyed painting wizard figures. Several of the original statues found throughout the yard are enlarged versions of the tiny ones Boo painted. So it's a whole park dedicated to basically a Dungeons and Dragons theme.
That looks like fun.
Isn't that cool? And throughout, I didn't get a ton of pictures, but throughout the park, there'll be these just statues of wizards and knights and different crazy things like that. It would be cool to visit. They do not charge admission, but you can buy T-shirts and you can give donations. So that'd be a great place to visit. It'd be a lot of fun. And you can also help the family keep the park up. Next is the Golden Pyramid in Wadsworth. Inside the Pyramid House of Gold was a collection of Egyptian furnishings, artifacts, and paintings, including a reproduction of King Tutankhamun's throne, 19th century revival chairs from Sam Goldwyn's Hollywood collection, and more than 100 pieces of authentic Egyptian statuary, custom-made Egyptian-style china and goldware, and a striking wall hanging of Tutankhamun's mask. All were blended with traditionally styled furnishings in a 17,000 square feet living space. They had a fire here recently, and so they've had to shut it down for a while. But this is actually a home, a house that someone lived in. Isn't that wild?
I've wondered why we don't build them anymore.
Some people do, but they're on the fringe, so you could build the next pyramid house. All right. Standing on the road at 170 feet tall, high above Collinsville, Illinois, since 1949, is the giant ketchup bottle, or catsup, as some people like to say. And it served as a water tower for the town. It was once home to the company who owned and bottled Brooks ketchup, or catsup. And that reminds me, I came across another giant rocking chair in Illinois, but I thought we've already done two, so I'll just hold off on the rocking chair. Let's see. You pull off the highway. Where is this? In Vandalia, and you'll see this: the Kaskaskia Dragon. You drop a dragon coin into the slot labeled insert token, and the dragon breathes fire. The 35-foot-long metal monster shoots flames from its sooty snout. Say that 3 times fast. With a propane roar, with its light bulb eyes glowing red. Now that would be pretty cool. I've got a couple in the Mobile area in Alabama. I can't wait to show y'all when we get to the Alabama show. And of course, there is on the southern tip of Illinois, Metropolis, home of the Superman statue. Just 10 miles from Kentucky, it devotes itself to the superhero with a super museum and a giant Superman statue in Superman Square. It holds an annual Metropolis Superman celebration where fans gather around the world each year to celebrate the Man of Steel. Look how huge that thing is.
You couldn't tell how big it was till that guy was standing next to it.
I know it. It's almost 2.5 times that person, maybe 3. Yeah. All right. We're going to leave the strange attractions there and go into some strange sightings. Dagny wanted to tell us about these UFO sightings because she has a personal one that she's going to tell in just a minute. And Lewis, if you want to get in on telling some of these, some of the hauntings coming up.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the UFOs in Illinois now.
Are there other strange sightings?
In a Bloomberg article, why is Illinois a hotbed of UFO sightings? Made by New York's Max Galka, it presents more than 90,000 reports of paranormal activity in the United States dating back to 1905. And here's every sighting since 1933. Smack dab over Illinois is a dense zone of unexplained encounters. 6 of the 10 most widely spotted UFO events have hailed from Illinois, according to Galka.
Yeah, I'm showing the map now, Dagny. That's
it's really, look at all that. It's glowing. So there's the Tinley Park lights. It was a mysterious procession of 3 glowing objects in 2004 that maintained a steady pace similar in speed to a dirigible. What is that?
A blimp.
Okay.
Basically, I mean, there's different kinds of blimps, and a dirigible's one of them, but that's an airship. Yeah.
Never heard that. According to a witness, they might have been the same Asian sky lanterns people set loose over San Francisco. There's the reappearance of the Tinley Lights in 2005 as a frigging massive structure, as big as the Tweeter Center, claims one dude, and
Sounds like
also
a dude.
and also a red-hued flotilla in 2001 that observer likened to ancient language or symbols.
Wow.
In Melrose Park on July 14 of 2004, it was a dull day, eerie, calm, with no wind, nor calling from birds. These clouds are what drew our attention outside, which looked like nothing I've seen before. Bubbles erupting downward like spheres,
Wow.
followed by uprising lines that resemble a fire shortly later. We did not see this UFO with our eyes because we were focusing on the clouds. I was taking pictures of the clouds, and as I went over them, I noticed strange silhouette of a black triangle and thought to report it here.
Another black triangle. Didn't we talk about those in the MUFON show? We talked about some
They
of those.
pop up all over the place.
Yep, we've talked about them a couple of different times on the show.
Blue Mound, September 19th, 2004. I was riding my four-wheeler outside my farmhouse. I was next to my grain bin, and I looked towards the field, which was just done from being cut, and I heard a loud humming noise. I looked into the skies and saw a silver cigar-shaped thing. I could see black dots on it, and it was traveling very fast and taking perfect 90-degree turns. It then
Wow.
stopped for a few seconds. Then a bright blue light was in the sky. While the blue light was shown, my four-wheeler shut off and did not turn back on for another 10 minutes. And then the UFO disappeared.
That happens a lot around
The cigar
sightings.
ones, yeah.
Well, the cigar-shaped ones, and but
And
you
the
know,
engines being turned.
vehicles turned off. And speaking of cigar-shaped, I think in our last revisited show with the Travis Walton, when Tim was telling about his father seeing something that same night as Travis Walton's abduction, I think he saw a cigar-shaped one. But I got to thinking about this one day. If you take the saucer, basic saucer shape, and people see it from the bottom, it's a circle. But what if you flipped it on its side and that's all you saw?
It would look like a cigar.
Yeah. So there may be an actual, like a tubular cigar shape, or it may just be one of these others seen from the side. Who knows? All right. That's just a thought. Just a thought.
In Petersburg, November 28, 2009, it was just past 10:50 p.m. when my friends started pointing northwest in the sky and yelling, "What is that?" We all looked up and noticed three brownish objects gliding through the sky, forming a perfect triangle. For a second, I thought that might be birds, but they were way too still and uniformly spaced. They were also way too low, dimly lit, and fast to be any sort of aircraft I know. The triangle itself blended with the sky behind it, but my friend said he would see the stars behind it disappearing when the triangle passed under them.
Wow.
In Gray's Lake, January 17th, 2007, the object was saucer disc-shaped and very silver. The sky was clear and its definition crisp. No movement at all. It appeared as if someone held up a silver plate in the sky. It's been a few weeks now, and I decided that I have to tell someone who could possibly make sense of this. I'm trying to reconcile the fact that I really don't believe in UFOs with seeing this thing. This just won't go away. Silver saucers don't just float in the sky, and it's starting to mess with my mind. I am a very rational, logical person, not given to superstition or the like. So I passed this information on to try to lay it to rest.
Isn't that what a lot of the sightings are? Well, I never believed in this, and then all of a sudden I saw something, or I
Wait
experienced
till I
something.
get to my story.
All right. Well, I'm going to get to your story, but I forgot about these two little things stuck in between here that have to do with UFO sightings, but we don't think about them in our world. We think about it overseas, but how many of you ever heard of crop circles? But in Illinois, they've had 2 circles. I guess the first one you can't really call a crop circle, but it is the same thing. The Chicago Tribune reported on December 10th, 2014, there's a complete lack of corn at Lane Beach Park in Edgewater, but somehow crop circles have appeared there the last 2 days. Edgewater resident Mary Grezik, 36, says she woke up late Tuesday morning around 10 a.m. and went up to her balcony like she always does. What was unusual, however, was in the directionally accurate, intricate compass drawn in the sand. I've never seen anything like this before. Who's lived in the apartment since April? It doesn't look like it was easy to do. I can't imagine how long it would have taken someone, but by about noon Tuesday, the drawing had vanished. Curious to see if it was a one-time phenomenon, Grezik said she woke up early Wednesday to take a peek at the beach from her balcony. Sure enough, a new drawing, a triangle, had appeared in the sand below. I wish I knew who did this. It's really creative, she said. But they're still unsure of the artist's identity. An event coordinator who answered the phone at Emmanuel Congregation, a nearby synagogue and school, said she was not immediately aware of who is responsible for the crop circles in the sand. Grezik so far says she hasn't seen anyone working in the sand by night or anyone who goes out and clears the designs. I think it would be really great if someone would keep doing it. It's been really cool to see. Now, that one was a known symbol that's used concurrently around the world, the compass symbol. But this next one was really odd. Courier and Press website reported on March 6, 2018, police said it was a hoax, but James Lawson wasn't so sure. The flattened circle in the middle of his sea of corn looked perfect. It looked, if he was being honest, like something had landed on it. Whatever it was, it came down from the elements and took off, he told the Associated Press a few days after discovering the crop circle on his farmland in Milan, Illinois. I think it's a UFO landing. Crop circles became a small epidemic in the fall of 1990, about a month after Lawson found the round disturbance tattooed on his land on October 16th. Mike Thompson discovered something similar only 8 miles away. A co-worker who had been driving his John Deere tractor through Thompson's cornfields on November 33rd when he unexpectedly came to a clearing, an immaculate 64-foot circle. I about ran into it, so I backed out and went around it. He says, I was surprised all the corn around it was standing. People might think it's crazy, he said, but it was there. No one disputed the crop circle's existence. The question is who made them. For the Rock Island County Sheriff Department, we think it's probably just kids. Police said there was plenty of evidence to support the hoax theory. On Thompson's land, they found a hole that looked like it had once been filled with a wooden stake. That could have been used to mark off the circle so the hoaxers could flatten the crop. They also claimed a local newspaper got an anonymous call not long after Lawson's discovery. The caller warned authorities that another crop circle was coming. Now, here's where it kind of ties back in with where we were. The night of Lawson's discovery, a 23-year-old woman reported a strange craft hovering over Fort Wayne. 2 days later in Argos, Indiana, a father and son driving down the road saw a silent aircraft shaped like a bow tie lingering over the road. They watched it for 15 minutes before it disappeared. A woman looking out the 12th floor window of her office building in the middle of a sunny day saw a saucer rise from below her and shimmy through the sky in half-circle loops. Co-workers joined her and watched for 20 minutes. Then a second craft appeared, shaped like a boomerang. It shot toward the saucer. The two merged and vanished. Okay, Lewis. Yeah, because I want you to read some of these stories here in a minute. But the reason I wanted to share those is one, they're crop circles, or one of them is most assuredly a crop circle. The other is something else. But I've been listening to a podcast here recently on crop circles, and there are two schools of thought. One, that they're real, unexplainable, and the other is they're hoaxed. And my philosophy is, why can't they be both? Not that every single one of them are both, but I believe there are some authentic, unexplainable crop circles out there. And as man has done since the dawn of time, we try to recreate the supernatural or paranormal in physical things. Think about the iconography in the Catholic Church. You know, we put up pictures, they make pictures of Jesus and the cross, and they try to duplicate. I'm also reminded of that tribe in the South Pacific that hosted a platoon of U.S. Army Air Force planes, and they built an airstrip on the island, and it was a sparsely populated island where the natives had rarely any contact with outsiders, and all of a sudden here these flying machines come in and land on their island, and they interact with them. And when the troops left and they went back years and years later to that island, guess what the natives had done? They had tried to duplicate the airplanes they built, not working, but airplanes out of wood and sticks and mortar, trying to duplicate or emulate what they had seen. So that's the reason I don't have a problem with people hoaxing the crop circles. Now, if they're trying to deceive someone to make them think that it's unexplainable, supernatural, or paranormal, yeah, that's hoaxing. But if someone's going out there to duplicate this, what they've seen, what they've experienced, I don't have a problem with that at all. It's what we've always done as a human race. We try to duplicate those things that are unexplained. So that's why I said I believe both. There are those out there that are genuine that cannot be explained, but then there are those out there made by human hands for whatever reason. But if they are unexplainable, people are of the camp, some of them, that believe that they are extraterrestrial and they are not of this world. And because some of them appear, I've heard reports of where, a helicopter flew over this field close to Stonehenge, and they were just, looking out the window at the field and everything, and there was nothing. They went and did their business, whatever it was. They came back about 30 minutes later, and in the same field that they'd been flying over, there was now a crop circle. So how does that happen? It's someone who's hoaxing or making it, a human making it, couldn't do that in 30 minutes
30,
or less.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's several of those, and the believers, researchers have gone on to all kind of detail as to why they're authentic, and that's fine if they want to do that. But it's ironic that this one in Illinois was seen, but in around the same time period of it appearing, there were sightings of lights in the sky and strange craft. And then Dagny also saw something in Illinois.
Yeah, we were right outside. Well, we were in Woodridge, Illinois, I believe. And it was just my friend Kate and me and my friend Dave. And my friend Dave was driving his Cadillac, and Kate and I were in the back seat together. And I think we were just driving just to drive. We were bored or something. And Kate is a very strong Catholic. I'd always go to her house. Her mom would read the Bible to me and stuff. And I always gave her crap about not believing in UFOs because I was really big into X-Files and all that. And we're driving down this road, and over the tree line there is a ball. It almost looked like the moon was sitting on over the tree line. It was glowing. Wow. It was so big. I you were mentioning blimps earlier. This thing was at least 10 blimps or 20.
Wow.
And it was so big, sitting over the treetops, just hovering. And I looked at Kate and I said, "Do you see that?" And I tried to play it cool, like I see this every day or something. I'm like, "You're going to tell me that's not a UFO?" And she looked and she just dropped her jaw and stared. And she says to this day that, "I swear I don't know what I saw, but it definitely was nothing I've ever seen a human make."
Wow.
And it's challenged her all these years because we were maybe 17 or 18 years old. Now
Wow.
we're in our 40s, and she still goes, "What was that?" It was so blatant.
Wow. Wow. That's cool. And I mean, did you just it just stayed there? It wasn't moving?
It's just sat there for so long, and then suddenly it was gone. It just vanished. And it was, I can't say again how big this thing was to just
Uh-huh.
be gone, suddenly disappeared.
So it just flashed out, or did it fly away so fast, or just
I guess it just flashed out. I don't know. I mean, it like someone shutting off a light switch. It was gone.
wow. That is so cool.
That was a crazy
Man.
one. That was the
Yeah.
first time I truly saw a UFO, and I had to play it off like I wasn't freaking out on the inside.
Well, it's like we talked about last week. Travis Walton, one of the naysayers, Robert Class, I think it was, trying to disprove the abduction and the sighting, said that, well, Travis and his mother and brother were big UFO enthusiasts and had just watched a UFO movie on TV. And so that's where all this come from. It didn't really happen. And my thought was, that's why he jumped out of the truck to go look at this thing, because he's been researching them, what little he could do in the early 70s, and he's been interested in them.
He
He
got
sees
excited.
one. So, yeah, he runs out there to check it out. What is this? What I've been researching? To me, that explains everything. Because if he had, because all his other friends got scared and run off and left him there. Get about 20 miles down the road, it's like, guys, I guess we better go back and get Travis. And they go back and he's gone.
Man, they must have felt terrible.
So yeah, I mean, to me, that explains the entire entire story.
The whole
is
reason
that,
he said stop
yeah,
out.
yeah, because he was like, stop, I gotta get out. And he runs over there and gets zapped by the light and gets, one guy in the car says he got flipped like a rag doll, by this light. But anyway, go back and watch the show. But to me, that's why the abduction happened, because he enjoyed that kind of thing, and he got excited because, like, yeah, it's happening. Here it is. Let me go check it out and get a closer look, and got zapped. Okay, we're going to go on to some different sightings before we get into some hauntings. Two primary sightings. Lewis, you want to tell one of these?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. We have a Bigfoot sighting.
Well, let
This
me just say,
person-
before you get into this, there was probably a couple hundred Bigfoot sightings in Illinois. I just picked the most current. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. This was reported on November 29th, 2021 to the BFRO. And this person says, Saturday night, November 27th, I was driving at 10:30 p.m. in central Illinois, heading from Cass County to Tazewell County. A car was probably 3/4 of a mile ahead of me, and I could see their tail lights. I saw a large animal jump into the road about 40 yards ahead. When I hit the road, I could see very large legs spread wide in a dead run with large swinging hairy arms. The arms switched back and forth close to the ground as its body was leaning forward. It leapt across the road in 2 jumps. When it hit the shoulder, it looked back at me, and I said to myself out loud, "Effing Bigfoot." It was about 2 seconds before it vanished into the darkness altogether, but I could see it clearly. It was very large, and even though it was hunched over, nearly horizontal, it still was close to being wider than my car
Wow.
and nearly to the top of my windshield. It blocked out the lights of the car ahead. It had shiny black hair. I could not see eyes or mouth, but saw its head turn towards me before it jumped into the dark field.
Wow. I mean, it's leaning over, he says, as it's running, but it's still as high as his car. Wow.
That's
That's
something I never saw in Illinois. I lived there 15 years. I never saw a Bigfoot.
Wow. Well, they're all over the place. Where'd I put that? I've got a book. Just had it here. And getting ready for, Alabama. Footnotes about Sasquatch sightings in Alabama. Oh, by the way,
Clever name.
Yes. By the way, this is one of the books I keep near my desk.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. A little shout out. Lewis's
Thank you.
book. That's one of the books that are kept close by. They're not on the bookshelf, Lewis. It's not on the bookshelf.
Lewis, I love listening to you tell stories.
Yes.
You're a great storyteller.
We want to get Lewis back on Night Treks telling some of his stories that he's dug up. So we've got to plan that for the future. Another strange sighting. Something's been happening in Chicago that most people don't think about, but as reported on 967theeagle.net, some sightings of a Mothman in the Chicago area on May 19th. Giant bats are seen performing maneuvers in the air near Adler Planetarium. On June 29th, spotted was a creature which was a dark black shadow with wings in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. On August the 2nd, a woman and her son saw a tall, dark humanoid and heard sucking and slobbering sounds in Bolingbrook. Now, that would be creepy. On August 4th, on the same day, one sighting in Melrose Park and one in River Forest. So here's what they report this Mothman looks like. 5 to 6 foot wingspan, small human-like head, deep blue-green skin, and long tapered feet. These stories are all very similar and the events are about the same. Check this one out that happened along the North Lake Shore Drive. Then suddenly the large winged being slowly descended in front of them, no more than 25 feet away. It hovered about 5 feet above the sidewalk. Its wings spread wide open as it peered at the couple with large, bright red eyes that slowly altered back and forth in intensity. Several people on the other side of the street, including a delivery van driver, reacted with screams and frightened yelps. The winged being hovered for about 10 seconds, then quickly pulled the wings into its body and shot up quickly into the night sky. Now, this is happening in Chicago, but it's similar to the Mothman in Virginia.
West Virginia.
Well, yeah, West Virginia. You're correct. Thank you, sir. Because
those people in West Virginia would be very unhappy.
They would be. I know. My mind just went blank. I was about to call the name of the town.
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant. I started to say Pleasantville, and I knew that wasn't
Lewis, how do you have an encyclopedia in your head?
He does. He's a cyborg. He's got he's got a computer in his head.
If you hold on, I need to go change my batteries.
Okay.
Okay.
We're
You
gonna
should
go
really
into
go
the
with Wire-
hauntings now. We've got a few hauntings before we close it out. So yes, sir, please go and do that, and we'll get started on the next few hauntings.
Oh no, he means for his cyborg brain.
Oh,
I was kidding.
oh, okay. I was taking
tell
you
about the
literally.
first haunting. I'll tell about the first haunting.
Okay, tell about the first Unitarian church in Alton or Alton.
Alton.
Okay. It was built in 1830 and was first called St. Matthew's Catholic Church. 20 years later, the church burned to the ground. The Unitarian Society purchased the land and rebuilt a church for themselves. Another fire occurred in 1901, burning the church down to its foundation yet again. The church that stands now was rebuilt in 1905. Reverend Philip Mercer became a well-respected preacher at the Unitarian Church at the young age of 18. Moving here from England, he had a way of speaking in his sermons that made people from all over come to hear him preach. One night in November of 1934, he found himself ill, shaking, and unable to speak properly. He went to visit a friend, James McKinney. After a few days of not seeing Mercer, McKinney went to the church to check on him. Mercer was found hanging in the doorway of the minister's study. Since the Reverend's death, there have been reports of voices and shadowy figures coming from the basement of the church. The piano seems to play itself sometimes, and doors open and close with no explanation.
Wow.
And Alton,
Most churches-
Illinois, has been rated the most haunted town in the USA. But that's according to who's decided this.
Exactly, because where's the town in Kansas has with the axe murder house? They
Oh,
claim
Villisca.
Villisca claims the same thing.
You amaze
I
me,
mean,
Lou.
it happens. Yeah. All right. Lewis, I'm going to tell the next story and then you can do the
Okay.
next one after that. Cuba Road. This woman, Yelena, writes into Atlas Obscura and says, so this isn't my ghost story or even a particular ghost story. Cuba Road is a twisty, winding street that occupies some space in the northwest suburbs of Chicago and considerably more space in the local imagination. Stories of Cuba Road abound because it is a very windy road and goes up and down some pretty steep hills. It's a dangerous drive. There's a small cemetery that dates from the 1820s, including some Civil War era graves. Most frequently, people see floating balls of light above some of the graves, feel cold spots there, and see presences. In the woods behind the cemetery, there's a house that will appear and disappear as you come towards it. It supposedly burned down a long time ago, although no one really knows the truth. It's a road best avoided on Halloween, but well worth a ride if you're bored with your friends on some long, dark summer night. All right, and Lewis is going to share with us about one of the most popular, most famous spots in the whole wide world.
This is Wrigley Field in Chicago.
Oh,
It
I
has
miss
been
it.
reported.
Sorry.
Pardon?
I said I miss it so bad.
It has been reported by graveyard shift security guards that the Wrigley bullpen phones ring randomly. Legend has it that the phantom calls are former first baseman and manager Charlie Grimm making pitching changes from the afterlife. Also, guards have spotted his ghostly image pacing the halls and have heard their names being whispered from the darkness. One explanation for his inability to leave the grounds could be that his mortal remains are housed in a private box in left center field. Songwriter Steve Goodman, who was known for the song City of New Orleans, passed away from leukemia in 1984, and his last wish was to have his ashes spread at Wrigley Field. He wrote, "Let my ashes blow in a beautiful snow, from the prevailing 30-mile-an-hour southwest wind when my last remains go flying over the left field wall. And so the Cubs granted his last wish, and his ashes were scattered on the field. Since his remains were laid to rest there, fans have reported seeing his ghost sitting in the seats behind home plate, enjoying the ball game as he did in life. In 1998, the voice of the Chicago Cubs, Harry Carey, passed away, and he apparently has still not left Wrigley Field. Workers and fans alike attest to seeing his ghost haunting the press box and nearby bleachers. Carey has also, quote unquote, come through in the form of an unexplainable mist, inexplicable presence, and overwhelming feelings. Fans have attributed these mysterious sensations to Carey, who was well known for interacting with the crowd. It looks as though death couldn't even stop him from his fan relations.
What's amazing to me is that their actual physical remains and ashes were left in the field.
I never knew that.
You know, the first baseman and manager, Charlie Grimm, his remains are housed in a private box in left center field. The songwriters had his ashes scattered across the field. I'm not sure about Harry Carey, but that's pretty wild. And you, Dagny, you've been to Wrigley Field?
At least maybe 200 times.
Wow. Did you ever see or experience any of that?
No, I was always there on game days. You couldn't tell what was going on. There was so much.
True. I'm sure you would have to be there when it was quiet and no
Yeah.
crowd to see all this. We're going to Old Joliet Prison. And remember, I didn't say Joliet. We've got 3 more stories, so I'll share this next one. Then I think, Lewis, since you and I have really talked about this on a previous show, you'll take the next one. And then Dagny and I talked about the last one on a previous show. So I'll let her take the last one. But in Old Joliet Prison, a garish sight, if there ever was one, the Joliet prison is polluted with tragedy. Not only did it once hold murderers like John Gacy, it also saw its own murder take place within its walls. In 1915, the wife of the prison's warden was murdered there. This did not sit well with the inmates. They actually held the warden's wife in high regard. She was lovingly referred to as the Angel of Joliet. With a nickname like that, you know she had to have been someone very special. When the prisoners learned of her death, they rioted and took the law into their own hands. They tried to find out who had killed her and wanted the killer to face his punishment of death. Now, during its years in operation, Joliet Prison held many executions. It is believed that many of those who died there now haunt the grounds today. Due to public interest, restoration was done to the building in recent years. If you're so inclined, haunted tours are held at the Joliet Prison. Maybe you'll have your own personal encounter with the Angel of Joliet. Now, this next one we have talked about on a previous show, but we wanted to touch on it because it is one of the most popular haunted stories out of Illinois.
Am I taking that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Remember we talked about it in Strange Highways.
Yes. Resurrection Cemetery. Located in Justice, Illinois, Resurrection Cemetery is known as the home of a spirit called Resurrection Mary. Mostly witnessed by men who drive past the grounds, the spirit is said to belong to a woman who died nearby. Those who have seen her tell the same harrowing story. A man will be driving by Resurrection Cemetery. Suddenly, he will see a lady coming for a ride. When they pick her up, she'll ask to be let out near the cemetery's entrance. As she walks onto the ground, she disappears. This has occurred so often that the bar located across the street is a popular hangout for the curious who want to see the spirit. Many nights, drivers will walk in so shaken by what has transpired.
Yeah, we talked about this one on our Strange Highways show, and there are multiple variations of this story, as we learned in that show, and multiple locations for this occurrence. But I think it's a given. Most people are okay with the fact that it probably started here with the woman in white, Resurrection Mary. Yeah.
On that other show, I told you she sat next to me in the car and whispered
That's
at
right. I knew it.
it.
When
It
you
still
started telling
chills
about
me
the
to this day.
UFO, that's what
Still
I
get
started thinking about.
freaked out by that.
Yes.
I mean, drove around in circles and circles and couldn't get out of the cemetery.
Wow.
It was like we were lost. We kept passing by her grave.
Yeah.
The
Oh
one
my
that is supposedly
her grave, right?
Mhm.
Well, and I wanted Dagny to take the last story because she and I shared the show that ended with the story of this man.
H.H. Holmes
Yeah.
and the Murder Castle. In Englewood Post Office, located on what is believed to be one corner of H.H. Holmes' Murder Castle. That's where we're at. Several employees attested to strange goings-ons in the building, especially in the basement, which some believe shares a foundational wall of the original castle, which stood on the corner next to the current post office structure. One employee shared a chilling story of hearing a sound in the basement and poking her head around a corner to see if her colleague was there. She called out to her, but heard no answer, and saw nothing down the hallway but a row of chairs lined up against the wall. A minute later, when she returned to the hallway, the chairs had all been stacked up on top of each other. Other employees have seen the apparitions of a young woman in the building or on the grassy property where the castle once stood. And the sound of a woman singing or humming has also been heard in various parts of the current building.
Wow. Now, when we talked about that on our show, The Axe, Jack, and Holmes, we didn't really go into this right here of the Englewood Post Office, but that's supposedly on one corner of the section of land that where H.H. Holmes had his murder castle.
Right in the middle of things, too.
Yeah. So I
Right.
wanted to bring that up today that they're experiencing things currently to this day.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
well, guys, this has been mind blowing. Just some of the strange stuff that we found in the state of Illinois. It's amazing. Like I said, I'm looking forward now to Tennessee and Alabama. Final thoughts, Lewis?
Well, I as far back as I can remember, I've heard of Chicago being discussed as one of the most haunted cities in America.
Wow.
Most definitely Illinois has its fair share of hauntings.
Excellent. Yeah, we have found that out.
Yeah, I lived in Chicago for 15 years, and when I was working in EMS, my dispatcher on the side did haunted tours.
Wow.
And he started bringing me around with him because he noticed that he got better pictures. Like these things followed me. So yeah, Chicago has lots of very haunted places, and I can attest that I've seen and heard things quite clearly at some of those.
Wow. Well, Dagny, thank you for your personal insight on this today, as being your home state. And Lewis, thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure. And sadly, Tim nor Andrea, who both said they were going to try to pop in, didn't get to make it. So hopefully on the next show, which the next show, if I remember correctly, and it's kind of ironic because I was just looking at the list the other day, and we just talked about our last Strange Highways show. Lewis and I talked about after that last show, there is a stretch of highway that he has written about that has many inexplicable things happening on it. What do you remember that highway right off the top of your head? Is it like
Is that the Dixie Highway?
I'm trying to
Or
remember because I know you posted something about it right after that, and I said, well, we're going to have to do another Strange Highways show.
let me.
But no, that's
Yeah.
okay.
I'll look at my blog and see what's.
Yeah, there
see
was
what I posted.
there was a specific highway that he mentioned some things, and I said, looks like we're gonna have to do another Strange Highways show. So I had put it on the schedule for Strange Highways 3. And that I really want to do a series on that because Lewis has that one, and I would like to do Route 66 and some other famous highways in our Strange Highways series. So if I remember correctly, that's the next show in 2 weeks, Strange Highways 3. It was
Okay.
on the schedule. But anyway, I just wanted to say that while every state we've covered in our Strange State series, it seems the path we've taken keeps getting stranger and stranger. As with the other shows, there's no way we could cover everything strange that we even found. And there were tons of things we probably didn't find. But there's no way we could cover all this strangeness in Illinois. But I think we've shown you enough that should you ever feel the urge to experience the strange and paranormal in Illinois, you've gotten a good start now. So thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe on your strange journeys. Goodbye. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Like and